and gentlemen, please. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good. Mr. Sergeant at Arms, sir. Morning. Morning.
You know, I was thinking about this morning. I thought instead of happy bugs, it's over. We could have thankful bugs.
There you go.
You know, and I know I've got so much to be thankful for. Among you, most of you are part of that list. So
Most,
yeah.
most everybody. You know, your work, you get close.
I'm getting there.
Never criticize someone who puts their hand in your mouth. So
Especially if they have a drill in it.
I hope someday you get elected through.
You gotta go to somebody young for
the most frightening movie for me was Marathon.
that.
Yeah.
Sign some papers.
Here he is, recording.
Gary, what's the quote about that from Marathon?
Is it safe?
It did say. Okay, all right, so is anybody thankful this morning besides me?
Here, I'm closest. Here's the dollar. I'm thankful for all of you guys. I'm thankful for my family. I'm semi-thankful that our car check engine light came on Monday and it just turned out to be so far a loose gas cap.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting new tires. And we were planning with it.
Yes.
And I'm semi-thankful because if it had gone about another $400, we can drive into Subaru. But
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking about that. We can get a new Subaru for less than what we're paying for ours right
How about that?
now, for 8 more years. About 10 more years.
Well, you'd be dead by then, so I know.
Somebody else.
I've got to live past 24, 25. Well, I guess.
I see money in your hand.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Something new and exciting.
I'm thankful we had our final road trip to Texas and back. That's insane, but it was wonderful. I'm never doing that again. And second of all, I'm thankful for the fact and that we made the trip. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the fact that not this weekend, but the next weekend, our oldest granddaughter is going to, she's in Spain right now. She'll be home Friday, I think. But she's going to be here for early Thanksgiving, and we're thankful for both those things. And I'm just glad to be here.
Good.
Doctor.
Yep, had another successful military weekend, this time just in Mount Vernon, Illinois, so nothing Caribbean. No Caribbean thing.
You guys know that Todd is doing so much work for the military that they've changed the motto to "Don't shoot till you see the whites of their teeth."
If you can use that.
If they hit a purple heart, you would get a purple heart.
Tom Brennan. I'm working with a dentist who graduated in '89. I graduated in '81, so he's like 8 years behind me. I have no idea if he's younger or not. It looks like he's about the same. And he graduated as a general dentist, like most of us do, but then worked for 4 or 5 years as a general dentist in Missoula, Montana. He graduated from Baylor. So worked in Missoula, Montana, and somehow worked his way into the Army Reserve and the Air Force Reserve. Went to endodontic training programs and became an endodontist. He was here in St. Louis as the head of the endo department at St. Louis University. They have a grad program to train endodontists, and hasn't ever, since the general practice in Missoula, had his own practice.
Wow.
And he's worked on Air Force bases, Army bases, different locations. He's retired from that. He's just got a Fulbright grant to go to Nepal and work with 3 dental schools in Nepal, trying to improve their endodontic training program. So it's interesting. It's like, maybe I should give this all up and do something else.
Low.
Yeah,
I like low over it.
he's got no wife and no kids too.
Anybody else for the good of Rotary? Andy Rebel. what's the thankfulness today?
I'm thankful that I'm gonna be in a couple weeks doing something I haven't done for 20 years, and that's going skiing. Which I probably shouldn't do. But I'll be careful. I'm going with my grandchildren who are, many of you probably know there's actually a Hidden Valley Ski Club. And it competes throughout the Midwest, to Michigan and Wisconsin. So they go to, out to Colorado, it's kind of like a pre-season, training camp. And, so I don't know how much skiing I'll do, but at least I'll get out there and try.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be Copper Mountain, Ridge, Keystone, a little bit.
Thanks.
Yeah, why not tie sticks to your feet and
Go down the hill.
Do that on a bicycle.
Andy rides a bike in traffic.
Yeah.
I'm thankful one time, not really, but at a late stage in life, I tried to ski, failed, and I plan on it.
Here.
Good luck to you.
Anyway, I'm thankful for, in about a week and a half, going to Tucson for L Tour de Tucson, and we're hoping for 100 Rotarians to ride with us that day. May not be that many this year. A good group from Evanston, Illinois is gonna come. Always good to meet with them and get a charge of Rotary inspiration. All right,
It's on the 19th.
it's Saturday. We have a fellowship ride on Friday morning. And then we have a nice dinner with polio on Friday night.
I always tell you, I'll go with you sometime, but like, we got a wedding that Saturday. So
Well,
maybe next year.
okay.
It's always next year, right? Kind of smile.
Let you get.
Hopefully with polio, there will someday not be in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. Mr. President?
All right, very good. Well, Dan Flynn has the program this morning, and we thought we were gonna have to do a song and dance, but everything worked out well, and so we don't have to do the song and dance. So Dan, if you want to come up and introduce the speaker, I think Anahita is.
Anahita.
Anahita, there she is. Okay, it is 5 o'clock in the morning in California. She is up, bright-eyed looking, bushy-tailed looking.
She just hasn't been to bed yet.
Oh,
He caught me.
Good morning. Anahita, Dalmia, say it for me.
Dalmia, Anahita Dalmia.
Okay. Contacted me about this program. We talked about it and I thought it was fascinating, and they're reaching out to Rotary clubs around the country. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if this club was, the first one in Missouri? So she is a Rotaractor and Rotarian dual member at the Rotary Club of Newport Beach, California, and a third-generation Rotarian, originally from New Delhi, India. So here's kind of a brief overview. I'm not going to steal her thunder, and we're going to see a little video prior to her speaking. But during the pandemic, she started to realize how dangerous misinformation is. As the four-way test suggests, if the information is not true, how can we make decisions that are fair and beneficial to all concerned? She found an article on polio claiming that vaccines cause more polio than wild polio, which when blindly discussed dissuades people from supporting vaccines. This just shows how bad information can be. Misinformation also promotes disbelief towards climate change, and it has been commonly cited as a threat to democracy, severely affecting global peace. If people blindly believe misleading information, it jeopardizes our future as a nation and as a world. So with that said, before we hear from this amazing young lady, Dave is going to hit play on his computer, and we're going to see a quick little video that gives you an overview of the program that we're referring to. While Dave looks for that, I'll be doing a song and dance.
DLAY. Is that what?
The work of two of our fantastic Rotaractors.
Oh, hang on.
So we're going kind of in the middle of this. This is a longer video by the president of the Rotary Club of Newport Beach, going over all the programs that they do. but we all know, we've all heard Folio Plus and all those kind of things. So we've kind of fast forwarded it right to where he starts talking about this program.
Anahita and Jasper. These young professionals are everything we should be excited for in the next generation of Rotarians. Their project, Agents of Influence, is a nonpartisan video game that teaches the next generation to think critically and seek the truth. I've been so impressed with this team from the very start. They have a bold vision for getting this game into classrooms around the country, but more importantly, they already understand how to leverage the power of Rotary to make a huge impact and recruit younger members. Just recently, this project won the grand prize at Aspen Institute's Information Disorder Competition. Anahita Dalmia is their amazing leader and a third-generation Rotary from Delhi, India. Take it away, Anahita.
The term agents of influence actually originated from the Cold War era, when it was used to refer to spies who spread mis and disinformation in foreign countries. We wanted to reclaim the term to show people that their agency, their ability to navigate the world around them, and their influence, their ability to make a difference, were all positive attributes. This problem came to our attention during the pandemic, when we realized that we were at a historical pivotal point. Every decision we made seemed to matter more than it ever had before. Whether we chose to wear a mask or not to wear a mask, how we spoke about the Black Lives Matter movement, who we chose to vote for. And we realized that misinformation was disempowering people by manipulating them and misleading them into taking decisions that led to unwanted outcomes, which is why we decided to create Agents of Influence. And let's have a closer look at that.
Welcome to Agents of Influence Cyber Danger, an educational, spy-themed media literacy video game created to empower the next generation of students to fight misinformation on the internet. Virginia Hall High is under attack. A nefarious organization named Harbinger is manipulating the student body with lies and deception. Luckily, you and your team, the Agents of Influence, are there to stop them. Students will learn to question the trustworthiness of information, investigate the trustworthiness of information, and apply this knowledge to make better informed decisions.
This game is targeted at 13 to 15-year-old students, and there's a number of reasons we picked this audience. Number one, they're at a critical stage of development where they're building lifelong habits. And number two, they spend way too much time online. We hope that by playing this game, these students will be cognizant of the deep impact the quality of information they consume has on their worldview and decision-making, and enable them to find accurate information so that they are empowered to take decisions that will truly lead to the world that they want to see. This is a game that we hope will be shared in classrooms across the world and will be a doorway to civic empowerment and engagement as these students realize the value of the quality of information they consume and are able to find accurate information to make more responsible decisions. Now I'm going to hand it over to my teammate Jasper to tell you more about the game.
Before we explain our game, I wanted to take a brief moment to explain, well, games period. There are lots of types of video games. Ours is called a narrative adventure game. What does that mean? Well, you can think of it like a choose your own adventure book. But instead of flipping the pages, you are clicking buttons. And based on the buttons you click, you might experience different stories. You also encounter challenges during those stories. And those take the form of our mini games. Each of these mini games teaches different media literacy skills to our students. I'm going to walk you through each of our mini games in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about the world of Virginia Hall High School. So let's take a look at a quick video.
Life moves fast at Virginia Hall High School. When I first arrived, I was just a normal freshman. Now, I'm a spy. few weeks ago, a shadowy figure known only as Harbinger started causing trouble at school. Harbinger used a device called the Lullaby to transform some of the students into a kind of mind-controlled being that can influence the thoughts of others. We call them sleepwalkers. These altered students are dangerous assets in Harbinger's plots to spread misinformation. Luckily, I've joined with a group of student secret agents to stop them. We call ourselves the Agents of Influence.
In the current version of our game, we have 3 mini games that you encounter as challenges during your story at Virginia Hall High. The first game is the conversation game. The goal of this game is to teach students how to have more respectful conversations with one another. You're having a conversation with Deborah, a potential Harbinger agent. At each step of the conversation, you get to pick from one of 4 choices that move the conversation forward, but you need to be careful. Certain dialogue options are negative, like blaming, criticizing, or stonewalling, and they'll get Deborah distracted or suspicious, and she might even walk away from the conversation. But if you choose positive options, like being empathetic and listening, you might open Deborah up and get the information out of her that you want. The second game is the analysis game. You have tracked a Harbinger agent to the secret tunnels underneath Virginia Hall High. However, there is a security system that is standing in your way, and you need to complete its challenge. What is its challenge? Well, it wants you to critically read an article and answer questions about the bias, the source, the author, and the main idea of the article. By correctly answering true or false questions, you earn tiles. If you place enough of these tiles correctly, you bypass the system and gain access to the tunnels. Finally, we have our research game. There are 3 students that you found on social media, and you know that one of them is a Harbinger operative, but you don't know which one it is. So you have to do a little research. After reading these posts, you select to research certain options like the source or the location. The goal here is to teach students to cross-reference before they just believe something blindly on social media and post it. After doing research, you label posts as accurate or misleading. And by the end of the game, you figure out which student has been consistently posting misleading content and is therefore your suspect for a Harbinger agent. When you've completed all these games, congrats. You've completed your mission and you've saved the school from Harbinger. But that is not where the learning ends. We want this game to be a doorway to civic literacy and engagement for the students who play it. In addition to the game, we're offering a toolkit that provides a host of partner content so students can continue their learning once they're done. This includes a practice room where students can replay the mini games that we've just talked about over and over again with different content and on different difficulty levels. It also includes partner content like plugins and toolkits, media bias charts, and even whole partner curricula that are going to teach students how to be more responsible digital citizens. And we want to include interactive design challenges, where students from different schools can get together online using the information they've learned from agents of influence and partner content to design solutions to real-world problems. Our goal is to have 100,000 students playing this game by 2024, and ultimately, we want to have 6 million students playing this game around the world. Currently, we have 3 school districts who've already agreed to pilot this program: Linwood, California, South Fayette, Pennsylvania, and Springfield, Ohio. We also have research partnerships with WestEd and Stanford to help us improve this game. And of course, we're working with a number of tremendous Rotary clubs around the country, including Steve Bender and the Rotary Club of Newport Beach. Steve, thanks so much for having us on, and back to you.
Agents of Influence is like the 4-way test for the next generation. I've been a Rotarian for over a decade, and every year I hear, we need to recruit younger members. I know many of you have heard this before, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Let's
Yep, she got Okay, you'll have to unmute and you've got the program.
Fantastic. The good news is that we've already covered 80% of the content that I was planning to cover. The presentation I usually give is an iteration on the presentation that you just showed. So one, I am very impressed with your research skills. I really appreciate how well you've set up the stage. Beyond that, what I can do is I can give you a little bit more background on myself, show you some of the new content that we have, and then answer questions if that works for everybody, simply because solid 80% of the things that I'm going to say from this point onward will be repeat information. Would that work for everyone?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Then I'm going to see if I can screen share. I'm going to go into present mode. As you can see, we have, slightly updated presentation, pretty colors. But one, thank you all so much for having me and the very, very, very thorough introduction. This is definitely the most informed of a club that I've ever spoken to, which is really exciting. As Steve mentioned, I'm a third generation Rotarian, and that's really important to me. I like to say I'm a Rotary baby, which means that when I was younger, my mother would take me to orphanages and blood donations and board meetings and Christmas parties. So I really was raised with the Rotary. And I think my journey as a Rotarian really started when I was 16 years old. At that point, I wanted to put together a carnival to raise money to educate girls in India. But after my school encouraged me to put together an entire proposal, logistics, finance, team, when I was 16 years old, they rejected my proposal, saying that they didn't trust me to implement it. It was at that point that my mother stepped in and she said, why don't we pitch this to my Rotary Club as a fundraiser? And the Rotary Club back in Delhi stepped up and supported me. They provided finances, resources, mentorship for me to make that happen. And I ended up recruiting 200 students and embarked on a 2-year journey to implement my vision. That was the first time that I considered myself a person of action, where I started to see that I had the ability to build the world that I want to be living in. And that's really the crux of every project that I've done after that. RI President Jennifer Jones had, said a really beautiful quote in the gala, which is that we as Rotarians need to be building the world that we want to see. And that is very much my passion as a creator. How do we empower each individual to create the future that they want to live in? And that's the angle that we've built Agents of Influence from. And I've gone back to my mother, who told me back when I was 16 that when you want to make a difference, you go to Rotary clubs. So I took her advice seriously. And when I had another social impact driven project, I decided to go to where she suggested, which is Rotary clubs, really one of the biggest change making agents in the world. There's a lot more content over here that you've already seen. And as Dan, so clearly articulated and the presentation previously illustrated, misleading information causes good people to make bad decisions. So what we are hoping to achieve out of this game is to just equip students to make more informed, nuanced decisions that will more likely to lead to the consequences that they want to be seeing and the world that they want to be living in. It's something that we've been working on for 2 years now. And we finally actually have the first draft of the full game. A little bit more about the game structure is that the game is modular. We plan on having different modules for different topics related to information and media literacy, the first of which is cybersecurity. But after that, we want to be tackling things like political misinformation, health misinformation. It's all based in an entirely fictional world, so we don't touch anything real or controversial, but it's supposed to be teaching core skills such as check your pre-existing biases, Consider how the information you're impacting affects your worldview and decision making. Deliberately seek out different perspectives that you can clearly articulate so that you can be confident that you fully understand the weight of your decision and the other side. Those are really some of the attributes that we are advocating for. We finally have the first draft of our first module, which is cybersecurity. And the way that each module is broken down is that it includes episodes. Each episode is about 45 minutes of content, and it focuses on a different topic and a different skill. So, for example, the first episode we are working on is algorithms, and the skill that we are focusing on is analysis. One of the 3 mini games we previously mentioned is featured in every one of these episodes, which can be played independently, like an episode of Pokemon or Friends of Phineas and Ferb. But if you play them together, you see an overarching story emerge. And every decision you make in this story actually has consequences. So a student can make a decision in episode 1 and see the consequences of it in episode 6, which is really exciting to drive home the idea that your decisions matter. So make your choices carefully and think through what you really want to do. Um, you are all more familiar with these games. And as we had mentioned, we want this game to be a doorway to further civic and engagement and empowerment, where each one of these students becomes an advocate for the cause and shares what they learn with their friends and family to create a more empowered and conscious generation of information consumers and responsible actors. We also don't want the pipeline to stop just at information consumption. We want to lead them to acting. So our toolkit does include, further related content such as media literacy, the environment, Rotary, um, human trafficking, peace education, but it also includes opportunities to go out and make a change. So we plan on having career training on things like how do we act responsibly in positions such as teaching, social service, healthcare, journalism, and all of these different jobs that are deeply related to information literacy. We also want to include service learning projects. So we are including and featuring other initiatives started by Rotarians and Rotaractors, including things like raising money to solve the world water crisis or prevent human trafficking, that these students can actually step up and participate in and start to make a big difference in the world that they're living in. The good news is, since we made that presentation that you all just saw, we've made substantial progress. We've tested the game with over 500 people now, and we've been getting a really good response. In fact, somebody recently reached out to us who had tested the game 4 months ago, saying that the lessons they learned from the game, logical fallacies and critical thinking, was something that they were starting to use in their regular conversations and how they navigated the internet, which is really exciting for us to be seeing. And we have further progressed even further in our goal, where we have 3 more school districts and 15 schools and several other research partners, including MIT and UT Austin, that have joined our initiative. So the ultimate takeaway is Rotarians have been supporters and advocates for the truth and critical thinking to build a world that is better for everybody, for generations already. We would love to work together to make sure that these values are passed down for generations to come. And I'd be happy to take any questions that you have and really excited to be able to share with you what we're working on.
Could you, you and I discussed this before, could you tell us what your ask is? What are we asking of the club?
Very much so. So our goal is to try and work with organizations, particularly Rotary clubs to get into their youth spaces locally. We are looking to partner with interact clubs, local schools, coding classes, summer camps, anywhere where the target age group exists, so that we can actually pilot the program with them. We, as I said, have the first draft of the full game finally ready, and we are piloting from January to May. For this pilot, we would require a 1 hour minimum, up to 6 hours that anybody who partners with us wants to give to this particular pilot. And our goal is to have at least one pilot in every state, which is why Dan had mentioned that it would be awesome if you all were interested in advocating for that in Missouri. The goal time period for the pilot is the January to August period. So we would need to get the buy-in of a youth organization at that point. If they choose to pilot with us, for 1 year, they get all of our content for free. We have 45 minutes of free content and about 6+ hours of paid content, including a lot of our supplementary material. On the other hand, for the first 100 schools that pilot with us, or organizations that pilot with us, we are also offering $3,000 flat fee of lifetime licenses. So that means every future iteration of the game, new content updates are included in that one-time purchase. And several school districts, organizations, and Rotary clubs have chosen to purchase that right now, so that they can ensure that they have access to this game for no further cost for as long as it is around. And we already have content planned for the next 3 to 5 years.
Can you go over some of those costs?
Yes. So the cost specifically is $30 per head per year for a lifetime license for students. We are willing to do $3,000 flat for a school only through Rotary clubs. If we do it independently through the school organization or elsewhere, we charge them $30 per head. So USC actually purchased 600 licenses for their middle school audience that they have at a summer camp, and paid $18,000 flat for the lifetime license. So this is a very unique opportunity as a Rotary club to purchase these lifetime licenses where no additional financial investment will need to be made. Otherwise, the cost per year is probably going to be around $5 to $10 per head per year. So you recover the cost most likely in about 3 years. And we, as I said, have content planned for much longer than 3 years, and we might even up our costs later down the line. So this is a very good deal that we will be only offering to early supporters, the first 100 organizations, and we already have about 40 that have chosen to support at this level, if that is of interest.
David, do they need a microphone to ask?
Probably would be a good idea.
Questions?
All right, that's kind of interesting. In the last, am I on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are, okay. In the last 12 hours, you were the second presentation I've heard on this subject. We have in St. Louis, and it's around the country, called Speaker Series. Are you familiar with that in California at all? It's a group. This is sponsored by a local university, and it's been going on for 20+ years. And they bring in 7 speakers a year to talk. Last night was one of their series, and I got to get this back up these phones. Anyway, we had a presentation by Maria Ressa. Familiar with her?
I am not actually.
Okay, let me tell you what her bio says on this. The 2021 Nobel Peace Prize winner for her work exposing abuses of power. Russia is the co-founder and executive editor of news outlet the news outlet of Rapper.com. She has been honored around the world for her courageous and bold work fighting disinformation, fake news, and attempts to silence the free press. And she has been following this. She got a firm in the Philippines, She actually is from the States, but she lives in the Philippines. And they're doing nothing but analyzing and tracking and working on this information, which is exactly what you're working on. But you might want to look at that Rappler, RAPPLER.com.
All right.
And her name is Maria Russa. It was a fascinating program, in my opinion, very similar to what you're doing, but a little step up, I think, in what they're analyzing.
Bob, you said it was RAPPEL.
RAPPLER.com. Rappler.com. 4 women founded it in the Philippines.
Awesome.
And she's using the Philippines because their government system, since they were so much part of the United States, Constitution and things are very similar to what we have in this country. And so they're using the Philippines as their home base.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
If a school district bought into this, what kind of training is involved on the part of the teachers who would, I would assume, supervise the curriculum?
So we have videos of how the game plays out and instructions on every one of the game. We also have a bunch of teacher features, including the rostering of students and videos on how they can be using all of the supplementary material. We have workshops that are available and a teacher guide. So a teacher can go in as much depth as they would like, or they could go into as little depth as they would like with personal instruction or doing it independently. The game is also designed to be played more or less independently. There's very clear instructions in the game on how a student needs to play. So in an ideal world, a teacher can be completely hands-off, and a student will figure out majority of the work that's in the game, including definitions and how do we play and the educational content. Everything is largely included in the game, but we have excuse me, discussion questions and supplementary material, which we guide teachers to early on, as we think the biggest value add of having an adult supervise and doing this in a group is the social learning that comes after playing independently.
Have you had any pushback from any political groups or school districts or individuals that say, oh, wait a minute, you're pushing propaganda on our kids?
Absolutely. And what we do is we ask them to play the game. It's very difficult to find like individual instances in the game that any of that seems at all relevant. And if they find anything that really does seem to be in any manner politically charged, we tell them that we will change it, and we do change it. This is not at all politically motivated. The goal over here is very much how to empower individuals to find more accurate or nuanced information. The skills that we are teaching are universally considered good skills to have. Question the source, understand credibility, understand purpose, do a little bit research, cross-verify information, assume the best of people, be empathetic, and be aware of your own biases. Those are really, more than anything else, the things that we are advocating for. We don't tell anybody what to believe. We're just trying to teach them a process that will be more beneficial for them to be just more conscious of the quality of information that they consume, and hopefully re-empower them to feel like they can find more accurate information. Because many people today are so overwhelmed, they're just like, oh my God, we're never going to be able to find accurate information. They point to like 3 examples, such as the laptop case, Hunter Biden laptop case, and they're like, there's so much information on this, and this is changing, and you lied to us. But it's about understanding information changes over time. You need to be open as new information comes in to change your perspectives. That's not a reflection on your character. It is informative that you are somebody who is willing to grow. And we need to instill that attitude of constant growth open-mindedness and curiosity, with skills that help them feel like they actually can find reliable information or make nuanced decisions based on incomplete information, which is unfortunately where we are often stuck, but also gives them the tools to find immediately when something is misleading. For example, my grandfather put out, a post saying that the Pfizer CEO was arrested. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. So I did a quick fact check on it, and it was a satirical article. The source and publication is saying, don't believe me, I am making fun of the situation. And there were 17,000 shares on it. That was an easy thing to nip at the bud. That has very strong negative repercussions. So at least we can start taking steps by recognizing these issues earlier on, rather than believing blindly everything that we see, is what we are working towards. And as pushback happens, we try to articulate as clearly as possible, this is not politically motivated. These are the skills we're teaching. If you have concerns, come play our game. And if you still have concerns, we will address the concerns. Like we are trying to tell our students, we need to be iterating on the information that we have to make responsible, informed decisions.
Thank you.
Other questions?
One of my favorite memes on Facebook is the one that says, don't believe everything you read on the internet, and the quote is attributed to Abraham Lincoln. Thank you so much for getting up at stupid o'clock to be with us today. And we will talk amongst the group and see what we can do. And I will reach back out to you and see how, if there's a way that we can help.
That would be awesome. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for all the preparation you did for this meeting. It really shows. Thank you for all of your suggestions on things I can look to further. This is ultimately a collaborative process and an issue that we need to be solving together, just like every other issue in Rotary. And I'm optimistic that we will be able to find some ways of support as long as our goals are aligned. So thank you so much for having me. No worries. Got up bright and early. Now I have a full day ahead of me. I can be very productive. And it was a pleasure to meet all of you. So thank you for taking the time. I will let you talk. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to hearing back. Bye.
Floor is yours.
All right. Just for information, I do know that the media teaching game, Bannister at Rittner High School, does some of this. I mean, they do investigate. They too teach in their journalism classes for their students how to make sure your sources are good sources and good information.
I was hoping that Bruce was going to be here today,
Yeah.
but apparently he couldn't make it. But when she brought this to my attention, my very first thought was of Rittner. Maybe this is something we could present to Rittner, and they could be the pilot program for the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we would do that, but I'm sure you do.
Oh, I've got a few contacts I could work through, so.
Would the economics of the North be more impactful than the students that would be receiving?
I don't know. That's a really good
I think
question.
misinformation is universal.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
just
just about now.
think that you've got different class.
I really think Rittner is a very good representation of the world. I mean, our area, there is not a majority of cultural population at the high school or in the district, and 26 different home languages are spoken, and it's just.
I think what it also too that, and of course any school district do this, but Rittner is particularly big enough to do this to where they could. I think there'll be a natural settlement of, well, yeah, we can take this all the way down to 6th grade and all the way up to 12th grade. And they'll find a home for it somewhere in that mix.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think
it might be an interesting end to, if I understand interacting, I probably don't. but it could be an interesting way to introduce the club, maybe even after school thing or something like that. You know,
And that was one of her original points, was this is a way to introduce Rotary to high school age kids and start a club.
Yeah, well, even middle school, my 13-year-old grandson is on constantly, and so is my 9-year-old. They're on. Now, most of it is playing games and watching those silly YouTube videos, but,
Hey,
You know,
now,
we need to reach all the way down to the little ones, so we should start Rotaract.
yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like the Boy Scouts, the Fort Baden Powell said, Boy Scouts are a game with a purpose.
Right.
And that the scouts don't always know they're even playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, you're playing a game, but you almost don't get,
Just don't really,
you know, you're getting a purpose.
Well, I'll reach out to Mike, find out, if, or Bruce, but probably Mike, since he's director of curriculum. No,
We taped this program, didn't we?
yeah,
So.
Well, and you've got the link to the video that we showed, so.
okay.
Good deal.
All right, I've got, some announcements, and then we have our quiz and our drawing. So, first of all, I've been going to a few different clubs, noticed that they recognize birthdays, and several anniversaries and things. I looked last night on DAC-DB, I didn't see any birthdays this week or upcoming.
Mine was Sunday.
Yours was Sunday? I missed that. Okay, so shall we sing?
No.
Cost you $1 not to sing.
I'll pay that.
Oh, you'll pay that. You know, at the, there was a bidding war at the.
I'm gonna say $2 to sing.
So we got $2 to sing. Anybody want to go free, not to sing?
And it won't be pleasant.
And we have $2 going once, $2 going twice. All right, let's sing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Glad you brought it up, Andrew. Oh, yeah.
Dave, note to self. Don't mention.
Don't mention, oh, well, you see, I'm not sure how to use that, but I was playing around with DB, so.
You gotta search backwards.
Gotta search backwards, okay, last week. Well, we also, I discovered there's a wedding anniversary, if that's correct, Dan and Marcia. Your wedding anniversary is November 12th?
Yeah, what's her name?
Okay, well.
And Ruth just had.
Ruth just had a 50th, yeah, I think we mentioned that, so, it's very cool. It's very interesting, I missed, but, Ann Kalmeyer and Bill Strohmeyer had a Rotary birthday. According to DAC-DB, you guys joined Rotary on November the 1st of the respective years, and I didn't want to go into that, so congratulations on your Rotary birthday.
You're really being creative.
Yeah,
he's reaching.
I'm reaching, that's
Okay.
some of the others, so make it a little more interesting, maybe not. I mean, if you don't like it, send me an email.
You may take over as president.
That's true too. We do need a president nominee. I got an email yesterday from the food pantry, and you guys may want to think about this. I don't know who has the program on November the 23rd. I think maybe Brian. Mitch. Oh, Mitch.
Well, we've got the guy from Edward Jones.
Got the guy from Edward Jones coming. Okay. The food pantry, in the board meeting, somebody asked, what do they still do the food drives? The food drive is going on currently at all of the Rittner schools. And on the 22nd and 23rd, the food pantry needs volunteers to help sort the food like we used to with Harry Milam. Because all of the food collected in the Rittner School District is going to be delivered to the food pantry on those 2 days, or the 21st.
Right, yeah, they announced that OBA yesterday.
They did, okay.
That it'd be the 21st is when all the food would get from school
Okay.
to the
So they need help. I will be, unfortunately, be in Florida, or I'd go and help. I thought maybe if there wasn't a program for the 23rd, you guys might want to do that. I did email her back, Carol, the volunteer lady, and asked her what time frame they're looking for. So, just if you want to volunteer, give them a call. And they sure were impressed with our work ethic and what we could do and what we did. So they have that. I can announce that we do have a road for litter pickup. So that is very exciting. It is McKelvey Road right down here. And according to Rich, the person, it's a nice flat section from Dorset to Marine. I think we need to research that.
Road is flat, it's hilly.
It is hilly, yes. So, and the county will provide safety vests and the signs that go up on the road that people are coming, all the materials, gloves, and plastic paper, trash bags, things. Now, we did have an idea that was brought up. Wonderful Dan here modeled the vest last week from Russell Hampton. So the board said that if you guys want to order a vest as a member, one of the safety vests that says Rotarian at work, the club will place the order, and that we will bill you for it. What's about $15?
Well, it depends.
22.
Because if we buy more than 6, it's $19.95. When we buy 12, it's $18. We buy enough for everybody, and then some, etc.
Okay, so think about that. I'll be sending out a reminder, and Dave will have it in the bulletin next week as well.
Oh, okay, that
So-
means I need that.
Yes, please, Dave, would you please have it
I
in
can
the
do
bulletin
that.
next week as well? November is Foundation Month. The board's voted to match all donations given to the foundation through December 31st. And there was, I don't believe we set a limit, did we?
No, actually, between a couple of us, we've got plenty of points. So instead of going to the district and handle it, we'll just do it internally in our club. Give it an extra month. You get your tax deduction.
Right. Yep, tax deduction and more points toward Paul Harris fellowships.
Hey, Jerry?
Yes.
I don't know if you're about to talk about this, but I've got in my calendar, working with the Scouting for Food.
Scouting for Food,
19.
Mitch?
Yes.
So if do they just show up or do
Show
they-
up at the West Overland Firehouse, 9:30 or so, or 9:30, whatever you want. Gonna be, they're supposed to not start picking up food until 10 o'clock, but some of the troops and packs start early.
Ambitious.
So, well, yeah. So the problem is if they go early, then people put food out later.
They get missed.
So, but they're supposed to pick up between 10 and 12. So if we're on site from 9:30 to 1-ish, it's gonna be just like last year. We do not have to put them all in the little boxes. We're just taking the food and putting it in huge pallets that are divided into 3 categories. The only thing that gets put in the little boxes is glass. So it's very low impact work. We just need to be there. And some of the packs, when they drop off the food, they hang out. And the kids want to do the work, so we're just kind of supervisors at that point. So,
Old Newsboys Day? Oh, I'm
Getting
sorry.
back to the vest, it'd be nice if we could have the vest for maybe Old Newsboys Day. I know that, well, they're both next week.
Yeah.
So how long?
I need to, they take, it's about 4 days to ship. I mean, place the order to get them. So everybody would need to say something by today.
I think.
Well, they have sizes also, so, you know.
Medium, large, extra large, 2X and 3X.
I would suggest you go up a couple of sizes, that way you can wear it over a winter coat, like for Old Newsboys Day.
Yeah.
So if you know what you want, I can place the order.
Well, how many mediums?
Okay. How many mediums? 1. How many larges? 1, 2, Andy and Mitch.
I'm not putting names down.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just doing numbers.
How many extra larges?
1, 3, 4.
4. How many 2Xs?
1,
How many 3Xs?
1.
Even if I lose the weight.
I would go with the first, only because of COVID.
I got a 2X.
That was the 2X?
Yeah. And it would really do something.
Change mine.
Yeah.
To
2X.
that.
I'll get to that in just a second, Chuck.
Anybody else?
2nd of December.
No, November,
Get to it in a second.
November 17th is Old Newsboys Day, which
Okay.
is a week from tomorrow.
All right, put that over there.
Is that right? Yes.
Them, and then will be billed.
And can
Yes.
David, isn't it possible to have them ship quicker for a little more money?
I will put a need by date on it, and then they will. I'll put a need by date of next Tuesday, so that I can have them here Wednesday. Actually, I'll put a need by date of Monday, so that we'll have it by Wednesday.
Okay.
So that if they have to charge extra for it, that's what they'll do. Right.
That's
We'll have
usually-
1, 6, 9, 11, 12.
We're just under.
So they'll be 18.50 each.
I would suggest, well, yeah, that's
We got shipping and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably $20 a piece.
Do they have options you can put the money in? Using this for old news?
I don't.
I don't think so. I think they're just the safety vest with the Rotarians that work on the back.
I mean, they give us the green aprons, to, you know, put the money in.
Yeah.
So we have to use that too.
Yeah, so I
We
mean,
can
that,
fold those in half, like.
yeah,
Or put those on.
or put, and then put that over the top, so,
Which is
yeah.
what my suggestion. would be.
Yeah, because the Rotarians at work would be in the back and the vest would come right here. Okay, great. Well, November 17th, next Thursday is Old Newsboys Day. I did hear on the weather forecast that it's supposed to be around 80 degrees today and Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, it's supposed to start dropping into the 20s from the low. So as usual, the wonderful Old Newsboys Day, I will be there with you in spirit.
If you're looking at AccuWeather, the overnight low Thursday night into Friday is 28.
Okay, so,
With a 40% chance of precip.
all right, very
At
good.
that point, you know it ain't gonna be rain.
Also,
6:30 to 8.
6:30 to 8:30, okay, also, peanut butter and jelly, we want to start, we did that a few years back. And, if you want to bring in some peanut butter and jelly here at the meeting or drop it off at Dave's place, that way we'll donate that to the Dave Muller's place, not Dave Robin, well, yeah, if you want. to put it on Dave's front porch,
We got 3 days going on.
Oh, that's right, with you, Dr. Dave, okay.
Finish that question.
Starting anytime.
We just thought, and that's it now, so
Yeah.
catch it on sale, the supermarket, whatever, you think
Right.
about it, grab a can.
Yeah.
We won't ship it to them, or we won't give it to them till.
So right before voting.
Right. Yeah.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. Also,
And that needs stuff really, should never, peanut butter and jelly.
so, just watch your email because also, Salvation Army, the board voted to bring it up to the club to see if we wanted to help ring bells at areas. I will be calling them and finding out like where they have availability in the area. Again, where Rotarians at work best for ringing of the bells for Salvation Army. That's one thing that several of the clubs down in Jefferson County do. So, okay, the bulletin quiz.
Wait, Mr.
Oh,
President.
yes, sir.
22 seconds.
22 seconds. Go.
I work for the Cycling to Serve Fellowship, and I've had pretty good luck with postcards I had created with the help of Vistaprint. One side is a picture of our cycling group, the other side is a detail about our ride in Tucson with a QR code to sign up. And it was like maybe 50 cents a piece to create these. My thought would be get one for a club. Maybe a trial run, let's say 100. Take out business, tons of business right around you. You can't throw a rock without hitting a business. And the reason why is we ignore email, we ignore text, we don't answer the phone. A postcard, it's on your desk, you know, oh, okay, here. And they have a contact number, a QR code. Just something to think about. I've started bringing in my ice from the Tucson, right? They're pretty cool. And, it costs like 45 cents.
Yeah, and it's, I use Vistaprint for those little square cards, but I like the QR code
For
or
$1.
and that for somebody coming up, let's see, for future, let's see, Bruce has next week, Brian, oh, I have Brian, so the Mitch has the 23rd.
I got it from Brian.
You got it from Brian, okay. The 30th is social. Ann has a program for the 7th. Todd has a program for the 14th, December 21st. Abe Mueller is scheduled to have that, and that might be something. Just sit here and handwrite the postcards and send them out to the businesses.
Creative list, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, the question of the week is, it's really easy, but more if you read the bulletin. What area of expertise did our guest speaker last week focus on Rotary International?
Oh. Geez, really? I don't want to answer.
I wrote it, so I'm out.
I looked it up, so nobody?
Well, I got the speaker, so it was marketing.
Okay, very good. Okay, pick a number, 1, 2, or 3. Three.
Something's back.
This is fantastic. You wear glasses, so you get a wonderful People of Action Rotary microfiber glass.
Wow.
Glasses. And they work very well.
Shirt on?
Yeah.
You get those speakers too.
Keep one in my pocket. So, okay.
I've got one. Now, on the litter pickup, do we get a bonus if we find Robin Ed labeled junk mail?
Absolutely, we sure do.
The most trash you're gonna pick up is down by Dorset and Marine.
Got a drawing, got a drawing.
Okay. Dan?
Yes, I know it's 8 and the bells are ringing. I apologize.
274.